I'll take you on. To me. I'll help you. I can't lose.
Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool here, back with another Epic 7 beginner guide for you guys today. And today I'm going to be talking about the Selective Summon. The first Selective Summon you get as a new player when you first start the game, where you get to choose a free 5-star unit or artifact of your choice, and that will be your, biggest unit that you get early game. Now I know that a lot of you guys out there watching this video right now are already way past that point where you guys have already done your Selective Summon like a while ago. But keep in mind that there are a lot of newer players joining because of the new Tensura and Epic 7 collab with Rimuru running, right? A lot of people that have watched the anime that don't really play Epic 7 are starting to play. So bear with me. This is going to be targeted mostly for the newer players that are starting the game, obviously. But even if you are a little bit, further into the game, just by watching this video helps me out. And if you guys are one of those people that have, progressed past that point of selective summoning, just let me know down below what you guys picked just for fun and to help me out and, for the YouTube algorithm. Now, in this video, I'm going to be covering the top 3 units that you can get from the Selective Summon, 5-star units, of course. And after I tell you guys those units, I'm actually going to let you guys know what 4-star units are very, very good from Selective Summon, because some 4-star units from the Selective Summon are actually very, very good and are actually a lot better than some of the 5-star units you get, because a lot of the 5-star units, to be truthful, are pretty bad compared to some of the 4-star units you can get. And also, there is one artifact I'm going to mention. Usually people will always want the shiny hero, but there is an artifact you can actually get as well from the Selective Summon that's very, very good. Honestly, that 5-star artifact I mentioned later is going to be probably the second best choice in my opinion, and you'll see why. So just to get started, we're going to get started with the first unit that I think is very, very broken for Selective Summon and the best choice overall that you should get. And that unit is none other than Sigret. So if you guys have watched other videos or googled it, you guys might have seen that it's like Vildred's the best or Ken's the best. I'm just going to say right away, those videos are way outdated. As of this video's release, and for a while now actually, Sigret has been the best Selective Summon unit you can get for a long time, for a lot of reasons. Sigret is by far the best unit. That's a 5-star unit that you can get. She's going to be your main DPS for pretty much all of story. She has very, very good single target DPS, but the biggest thing is that she is super, super strong in Wyvern Hunt. Now, if you guys don't know what Wyvern Hunt is, it is going to be the first thing that you farm early game to get gear. Now, gear is a very, very important aspect of the game. You'll see, like, I have a lot of pieces, right? More so than the units you have, getting gear is the hardest part in Epic 7. And if you don't have a good source of gear early game, you're actually going to struggle with the harder PvE content, and you're going to hit a wall where you're actually not able to progress at all. So that's why most people will recommend farming Hunt first, right? Because Hunt is your main source of gear. Hunt is like the, identical dungeon in Summoner's War. And the reason why you want to do Wyvern is because it drops something called Speed Set. Speed Set is the best set in the game for PvE for the most part. I know some people out there are going to be like, oh, you can farm Banshee first or Golem first or whatever. But for consistency, Wyvern first is the best option, and it is the easiest to do because there are so many guides on Wyvern. I even have a Wyvern guide on my channel that is pretty popular if you guys want to check that out for more detailed version of the Wyvern guide. But yeah, to keep it short, Sigret's the best option. I could go over her skills, but if you're new to the game, you probably don't really know what this means, to be honest. But just keep in mind, she has a lot of damage and a lot of debuffs, and they're all single target, which is exactly what you need for Wyvern. If you hit the Sigret on your reroll, just take her, guys. It doesn't matter what else is around there. She's just that strong for Selective Summon. Obviously, you can keep rolling and try to get another good 4-star, which I'll mention later, but Sigret is by far the best option. Don't listen to anyone else. I promise you, you will not regret picking up Sigret because she makes your early game so much easier. You're going to realize when you get to Wyvern, if you don't have Sigret, how much harder it is to progress and be able to take down Wyvern. Wyvern is going to be your biggest obstacle early game by far. After you can clear Wyvern 13 pretty consistently and farm it, you're going to realize how much easier it is to gear your units. But before then, it's really hard, so Sigret is the #1 choice because she makes Wyvern super easy even for newer players. Now at the #2 spot, right after Sigret, we have Ravi. Now Ravi is a very strong unit for PvP and PvE. For general purpose PvE, she can basically solo pretty much everything. That's why she's very good. You can also use her in Golem Hunt if you, for some reason, you want to do Golem Hunt. You can use her in Earth Expedition as well, even Dark Expedition. She's very good in Automaton Tower, which is a very hard piece of content for newer players. She's also good in some raid bosses and even some Abyss Fours as well. Now, keep in mind, even though she's #2, guys, like if Sigret was S tier, Ravi's probably like S tier only, even maybe like A tier. Sigret is just that much better. So if you are sick of re-rolling, I guess you can take Ravi if you get her. But please keep in mind, I think Sigret is so much better. And I even think the 5-star artifact that I mentioned later and another 4-star unit that I mentioned later is going to be better than Ravi. So Ravi's technically at the #4 spot, but for 5-star units, she is the second best in my opinion because she is used everywhere. You'll use her for the entire game. I still use my Ravi to this day. She's very strong in PvP, and she's good in early game PvE. The only thing is you'll stop using her in PvE eventually, but keep in mind that your selective summon's mostly going to be early game units anyways, because you're going to be pulling more units eventually, and then you can replace your Ravi with other better units and so forth. But Ravi will make your early game story mode very easy. Another option with Ravi that used to be at #2, but Ravi overtook, in my opinion, is Vildred. But Vildred is not as good anymore because even though he does have his uses, there is Arbiter Vildred nowadays you can get for free from Moonlight Connections, which I do recommend. And he kind of just replaces Vildred in like 90% of the content Vildred's used in, so you don't see Vildred at #2 anymore, and you see Ravi because she is such a menace in PvP still, and she's very strong in general purpose PvE early game. And at the #3 spot, following Ravi, I'd say Iseria's pretty similar to Ravi's strength in my opinion. She's not real used in PvP though, but she's very good in PvE. So Iseria, very strong, especially with Tamarin. She has a mechanic where you can reset skill cooldowns. Very unique in this game. You'll realize why it's super broken once you see what Tamarin's S3 does. Tamarin's S3 is like an 8-turn cooldown that starts off or on cooldown. So you can basically make it so that Tamarin gets her S3 right away. That's why Iseria is very good with her. But Iseria is a very good unit in the game because she has a lot of defense breaks. You're going to need defense breaks in pretty much all hard content that you do because it just makes your units do so much more damage. She also has something called a Dispel or a Strip with Unbuffable, which is very good because bosses late game really have a lot of buffs that are annoying, and you're going to need a lot of debuff or Dispels and Strips, and Unbuffable is very good as well. She's very good in Raid, Hell Raid. She's good in Expedition. She's very good in Abyss, right? And like I said, she's very strong with Tamarin. She's not a super high damage unit though. She's more of a support unit, which is why she's #3. But overall, she's a very powerful unit, very fun to use, and her aesthetic is pretty nice as well. Now, these are the 3 units I recommend. Sigret #1, Ravi #2, Iseria #3 in that order of strength. But keep in mind, I really recommend Sigret, guys. Like if you hit Ravi like multiple times, like I would still re-roll, even remake your account, try to get that Sigret because she makes the game so easy. A lot of people, get lazy and don't want to re-roll and then end up regretting it later because the time you spent, not re-rolling for Sigret, you actually will waste more time trying to build your Wyvern team. Whereas if you just pulled that Sigret in the first place and re-rolled a bit more, you would have saved so much more time because Wyvern's so much easier, and Wyvern is the biggest thing that you have to take into account early game when making your team because it is a place where you have to farm all your gear. So like I said, please go Sigret. If not, try maybe this 4-star unit that I mentioned, or even this 5-star artifact. Ravi and Iseria are good as well, but I actually do think Sigret is the best, and then this 4-star unit's probably second best, and this artifact's probably the third best options, and then yeah. So let's get into the 4-star unit. Now, the 4-star unit that I recommend, I even recommend it over Ravi and Iseria. Best case scenario would be you get like Clarissa and Ravi, or Clarissa and Iseria. Is going to be obviously Clarissa. So she does a similar role as Sigret, although she does significantly less damage. But she does have a lot of debuffs. which you really need for Wyvern. The most important thing for Wyvern is having a lot of debuffs and doing a lot of damage. She does okay damage and has a lot of debuffs. Her S1 has 3 debuffs late game once you get her exclusive equipment, which I'll go over in another video if you don't know what that is. And her S3 has more debuffs, and her S2's AoE damage for the first wave of Wyvern. So very, very strong. She's like a budget Sigret. You can even run them together. So if you get Sigret and Clarissa, it's like a perfect reroll, because yeah, you'll have enough debuffs for Wyvern, and the hardest thing about Wyvern 13 is going to be debuff management. Now, I do think Clarissa is technically better than Ravi and Iseria, but I'm not saying to take, only a 4-star unit over them. If you're rolling for Sigret over and over and you get sick of it, I would consider taking like Ravi and Clarissa, or even like Iseria and Clarissa, or even like Vildred and Clarissa. It's not bad. But Clarissa is a very, very strong unit from Selective Summon. Even though she's a 4-star, guys, and you guys might be like, well, maybe I get lucky and pull for her from Covenant Summons, right? So I don't have to pick her up. I'm just going to take Ravi or Iseria alone. Well, I know a lot of people that did that and they don't have Sigret, and they don't get lucky and don't pull Clarissa. So they're kind of stuck running a complete free-to-play team, like 3-star team for Wyvern. And it just makes it so much harder, and you're going to be stuck on like Wyvern 11, Wyvern 12 forever, when Wyvern 13 is just so much more efficient to farm. So Clarissa, a very, very strong unit. If you get her in your Selective Summon, she's very strong. Keep an eye out for her as well. Although she's not a shiny 5-star, she plays like a shiny 5-star, especially in Wyvern Hunt. And the 5-star artifact that I was talking about. Now this is Song of Stars. So basically, when you level this up to level 15, because that's the highest you can get it to without limit breaking, it'll be a 75% chance to target the enemy for 2 turns after attacking with a single attack, like it says, and it's for rangers. And the reason why I say this artifact is so good, because like I said, Wyvern is going to be the biggest thing you need to be able to farm early game. It's going to be your biggest challenge. And the thing is, in your Wyvern team, no matter what team comp you use, you're going to use a unit called Furious, which is a free-to-play unit that you can get from connections. And he is a ranger, so you can use this. Now, since Wyvern's biggest difficulty is going to be, or problem is going to be debuffs, this actually gives Furious an extra debuff, and usually it's a 75% chance to land for 2 turns, so it's pretty much going to be up on the boss permanently if your Furious is fast enough. So this artifact's very, very good. A lot of players that have Sigret, have Furious, whatever, and have their perfect Wyvern comp actually can still struggle with debuffs until they get this artifact randomly, or from a banner, or from Powder Shop, because Song of Stars is just that OP. You want at least 2 debuffs on the Wyvern, and by having Song of Stars, it pretty much makes it so you only need 1 more debuff, which is going to be your defense break. So your Furious or your Sigret together can just solo debuff the entire boss. So very, very good. I think if you get Song of Stars and Clarissa, it's even worth considering, especially if you don't want to roll more for Sigret. I don't think Song of Stars is better than Sigret at the moment, although it is very, very close, because like I said, right, Clarissa does fit a similar role as Sigret. So you can always use Song of Stars and Clarissa, and it's very, very strong. But keep in mind, if you do get a 5-star artifact in your Selective Summon, you will never be able to get a 5-star unit with it. So you can't get Sigret and Song of Stars. It's either going to be a 5-star unit or a 5-star artifact. So that's why, although I technically do think this is better than Ravi and Iseria by itself, just because early game is all about getting into Wyvern as fast as you can. That makes your account progress super fast. It's really hard for new players, and I understand, to get an artifact, which is kind of like a piece of equipment, right, over a shiny unit. So I don't really always recommend this. But if you don't care about that, you're trying to be super efficient, and you cannot find Sigret for the love of God, then Song of Stars, Clarissa, very good option. Even Song of Stars without Clarissa is probably fine as well. But I would really recommend, if you want to get Song of Stars, or you're considering using Song of Stars instead of Sigret, that you get Clarissa with it. Now this is probably going to be the end of my Selective Summon guide, guys. I could go in more depth about the other units, but I really don't think they're worth considering. Just re-roll, guys. It's not that bad. You were guaranteed a 5-star at 1 pull, 10 pull, 20 pull, 30 pulls, right? So you'll have at least 4 show up in your Selective Summon. Probably more. Probably like 7 or 8 will show up anyways on average. So you have a lot of chances, and re-rolling is really fast now because you can skip cutscenes. You used to not be able to do that. So yeah, I really recommend Sigret, guys. Sigret number 1. Number 2, probably like Song of Stars and Clarissa, or Ravi and Clarissa, or Iseria and Clarissa. And then 3 is like Ravi or Iseria by themselves. That's probably my, Selective Summon tier list and ranking. But I really do think Sigret is by far the best, and Song of Stars and Clarissa is very close second, and then the others are probably a lot lower, but still decent So yeah, I really hope this guide helped you out, guys. If you guys want more videos on beginner content, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down in the comment box down below. And if you guys are waiting for more, beginner videos or want to see more videos and you're a new player, check out my channel because I have a lot of content uploaded already that helps out a lot of new players. I even have a series where I made a new account and tried to get to Wyvern 13 as fast as possible so you guys can see the entire process. I really like how Smilegate's trying to expand their player base for new players. Just having more players play the game is just makes it a better experience overall for everyone, right? So yeah, make sure you guys let me know down in the comment box down below how you guys think about this video, and I hope to see you guys on another video of mine soon. Peace!